your boy Ancient Albatross here again with the Cypher Unlimited crew. We got our usual suspects of Spigs18 or Anthony. We got A Dean or Alpha Dean or just simply Dean. And Dean, why are we here today?
Well, as usual, we're here to interview some great people from Quest Friends, and they're a group of friends who came together over their love of tabletop RPGs. And Quest Friends is a Numenera podcast. 5 episodes and counting. So, you know, their tone is reminiscent of Avatar and a few other things. But hey, we're going to let them tell you all about it. So, and Quest Friends, just so for everybody's information, are Emily, Hallie, Tom, Kyle, and Ari.
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 We're gonna keep it. Just keep it rolling. Let's go. So
I'm having an L moment. Don't worry about it.
So yeah, why don't you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves? And we'll start with Emily and Kyle.
Said Emily first. You go first.
I still haven't thought of a fun fact about myself. I'm Emily.
It's been half an hour.
I'm Emily. I use she, her pronouns. I play Ellie in Quest Friends, who also uses she, her pronouns. And my fun fact is that I created my own highly marketable degree in college. A combination of education, art, and English.
Nice.
Hi, I'm Kyle. My pronouns are he, him. I'm the game master and host and life being consumed by person of Quest Friends. I already said my pronouns. I play basically everyone who's not one of the main characters, so they're all across the gender spectrum. Can't put specific pronouns there. And my fun fact, I've been playing a lot of Hitman lately. That's been a lot of fun. It's a very good game.
Nice.
That's all
good
I got.
one. Good enough.
And Ari.
Hey, I'm Ari. I use she, her pronouns. I play Misha Jarvis in Quest Friends, who is a clueless android. And my fun fact is that I work with transparent fish for a living, and sometimes I hurt them, sometimes I don't. Most of the times I do, or they hurt themselves without me wanting to.
I was about to say, I don't think you have any control over the herding process. Or...
No, usually I don't. Today I did, but usually I don't.
Clarify. Clarify.
No, I think that I personally think that's good.
That's a perfect T-shirt. I heard fish.
I agree.
Oh yeah, no, I don't have. I should have that.
You just get we'll get like our image of a cowboy riding a fish like a horse and his face on it.
Maybe that can be for my dissertation. Which
I'll
T-shirts?
do it.
Ride my fish to the old town road.
Oh my god.
I'm just gonna mute my mic right now as I note to buy Ari a shirt with her lassoing a fish.
Tom?
I am Tom. I play Shock on Quest Friends. I use he, him pronouns, and so does my character. Gotta mix up my fun fact too. I've been reading a lot of comics by Mandy Robertson lately, who has also done some really brilliant artwork for our show.
Oh, cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Got a show for our friends too.
We'll definitely be sure to link, some of her stuff so people can see, in our description. It's just so you get some.
I'm moving. We still going? I'm just checking.
And Hallie, how about you?
Hi, I'm Hallie. My pronouns are she, her. On Quest Friends, I play Hopperscotch. His pronouns are he, him. And a fun fact about me is that when I was little, I am told, I would come downstairs every day dressed as a different fictional character. And the day that really confused my mom was the day I came downstairs with a coat hanger slung across my arm, and she couldn't tell what I was doing with it. And I said, "I'm Robin Hood," and then stormed outside. Nobody understands me, apparently.
Oh man.
Just start. We're not restarting because I
No,
know
no.
I went blank.
No, you good. We good. That was a great story, though. I'm Robin Hood. It just runs.
I like it.
I need more childhood stories of you, Hallie. Everyone is a delight.
Once I turned my bathroom into a smokehouse because I was playing Big House in the Little Woods. I needed to store meat for winter. So all my Beanie Babies were in there.
Oh no.
Mom asked someone if that was like normal.
She did, actually. She did. She asked one of her teacher friends, and her teacher friend apparently responded with, "Well, it's the smokehouse. Where else is she supposed to put them?"
Awesome.
Head support.
Oh, but yeah.
Did everyone introduce themselves?
Yeah,
While I was having
yeah,
technical
everybody
difficulties.
Yes.
I had deja vu all of a sudden. I felt like we lived this twice. But first off, welcome to the See You guys. We're so happy to hear you. I'm so happy to have you here. And I'm so sorry for the technical difficulties of the last hour. I wish I could go back in time, but I can't. So we're just going to keep on moving. What exactly is Quest Friends for our viewers that may not know? And how did you all you guys meet?
You know, I wrote an elevator pitch half a year ago. I should have it down now. But Quest Friends is a Numenera podcast that takes place in the Numenera, the ninth world. I'm assuming someone watches, they're probably familiar with Numenera. So it's kind of lighthearted, farcical take on Numenera. We use examples of things like Avatar: The Last Airbender, the She-Ra reboot, basically lighthearted cartoons. Although we can't help but cuss, so there is cussing. But yeah, it's a more lighthearted take on the Numenera system, focusing on friendship, family, and mind-eating spiders 1 billion years in the future. I think a kind of good reference for the kind of stuff we do as an actual play. We're very highly edited. That always needs to be mentioned. Are we like the highly edited one, or are we the basically you're a fly on the wall one? And we're highly edited, to my emotional detriment. But some kind of reference for like the kind of arcs we have is we had an arc that was in Disneyland, Las Vegas. It was terrible. Our current arc is on the Titanic, but it's a college airship, and it's the worst. So those are the kind of arcs we go for and the kind of stories.
I know you keep on saying terrible, but all that in my mind is like, man, that sounds awesome. I want to play that.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun, but like one of the standbys of Quest Friends is that all the individual people are great. They're amazing. They're loving. They're heartfelt. All of our PCs are amazing people. All of the societies are absolute trash fire. Like, I'm gonna go on a luxury airship. Like, that's a college. That's awesome. But what if your college didn't let you use books?
Just bans all books.
All books, every single one. You get a brick. You literally get a brick instead. That's what I mean by terrible.
Here you go.
How did all you guys meet?
College.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all met back in undergrad at varying times, and then stayed in touch via the internet and
That's awesome.
role playing games.
Yeah, so we had
Nice.
we had bonded. Emily and I bonded because we started dating. Ari and I were,
Yeah, that forces bonding for some reason.
Ari and I were friends since freshman year, while Tom and Hallie were friends since the year they came in. The reason we all started talking together, though, is for two reasons. I feel this is important to share. One, Ari and I saw the movie Book of Life, and we hated it with such ferocity that we needed to reach out to Tom and Hallie and complain. And then we all watched the TV show Sonic Boom. And for some reason, we really liked it, and we kept talking in the chat about Sonic Boom.
Sonic the Hedgehog, please.
I've heard that show is actually very. I've never seen it, but I've heard it's very. Like, I've seen little clips here and there, and it's funny. Like, but I'm surprised that a Sonic like cartoon is actually like entertaining. You know what I mean? Like actually decent.
The
Let's
people
talk
who
about
make
Sonic.
Sonic Boom love Sonic. It's very clear.
That's
all
awesome.
I like Sonic.
The Sonic's wonderful. Everyone should like Sonic. He's great.
I definitely need to check that out at some point.
I'll just be quiet because I'm in the minority.
But
Ryan, I also like Mario better, but I'm somehow still in the Sonic.
Which we named the chat after Sonic the Hedgehog, and it stayed that way for years, even though I'm pretty sure I'm the only one who actually likes the Sonic games.
No.
Hallie, when's
Yeah.
the last time you played Sonic Mania?
I mean, that's gatekeeping. That's either way.
We don't
When
allow
I was
that
a
here.
child, I played the original Sega game with Cassidy, who plays a recurring character on a Quest Friends miniseries. I played with her when we were little, and that was one of my first video game memories.
Kyle, we have a no gatekeeping policy on the seat.
Sorry.
Yeah,
so you're gonna have to show yourself out. I'm really sorry. That's just how we.
Kyle, you're fired.
Hey,
There
Kyle,
it is.
now, Kyle, you must pay tribute. Get a hammer and hand.
He just walks away.
Oh, I think he's coming for me, actually.
Wait, does this
Oh,
mean I
dear.
get to sit in your chair? He's sitting in the nice chair. By the by.
It's my gamer chair.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
That's what he plays his Sonic in. Al?
No, I was just gonna say, because what are your individual roles on the show? Like, what do each of you handle? Are you just like players, or like do you do different parts of the production, or like? I'll let you
Pretty
know.
much all Kyle.
Sure.
Yes, it's
Free
Kylie's.
labor, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Menial tasks as they need to be done.
Yeah, Kyle
I
does
fetched. Okay.
just about everything. We each handle like bits of the social media, even though
Okay.
Kyle also does with Twitter too. So I have edited some of the side content, although I'm actually phasing that out. So once our next sort of batch of bonus episodes is done, I'm going to be passing all of those editing duties back to Kyle again.
All right.
Woo, I'm right for editing, dude.
Kyle, would you like a job?
Someone has to be the backbone, right? But I mean, that's Anthony for us, by the way. He's all the
Kyle, I
backbone.
feel your pain, man. I feel your pain. We right there, man. I almost banned you like 5 seconds ago, but you back in my good graces.
But so guys, can you tell us all about your individual gaming experience, and why did you guys decide to start a podcast?
Ooh,
No, I'll head last, so everyone can talk about their gaming experience, and
I'll
then
head
segue
last.
to us talking about a podcast.
Oh, that.
Yeah, like what are the
Alright, so Hallie,
systems
Hallie,
like?
start us off.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. My first time playing an RPG was actually at college with Tom. He was running his first game, and I was in that game. And it was a good
Numenera
time.
game.
It was a Numenera game, yeah, because I resurrected my NPC from that campaign to be an NPC in a side campaign that we ran, and it was a good time.
Your PC from that game.
My PC,
Yeah.
did I say NPC twice?
Yeah, you did.
My PC from that game into an NPC in the new game. Yeah, anyway, it was a good time and I liked it a lot. And then, I don't know, people just kept being like, I'm gonna run a game, do you want to play? And I kept saying yes. So here I am, still playing role-playing games with like mostly the same group of people.
Which is awesome.
You're forgetting, Hallie, the most important part of your experience, and that was the game you ran last year.
Titanic.
Titanic?
Yes.
Oh, right. Okay, so...
Hallie, that's actually one of our questions.
Oh, yeah?
Are you talking about your first GMing experience on Quest Friends?
No, this was a different one.
Oh,
That was
okay.
But I'm glad that... This was... We got together last year, and I ran an in-person campaign. We rarely get to play those, so I was excited. And it was one that took place on the Titanic. Just the historical Titanic, not like a weird airship version of on Quest Friends. Although it got weird because everyone chose to be weird. Like Kyle just didn't talk to anyone the whole campaign. It was fine.
For the whales.
But it was great. I don't know. Tom seems to think that was the pinnacle of my career.
Pinnacle implies that there's nowhere to go higher than that. I just thought it was a notable moment.
I was really proud of it. I had like 13 NPCs, and I had a little mystery that was supposed to take up everyone's time until hitting the iceberg. Ari solved it, but so I had to keep making things up on the spot because there was a MacGuffin they had to get, and I just kept moving it places and making up bullshit reasons it wasn't where they thought it was. I was really stressed out by the end of it, but it was worth it.
And that's why in our Titanic arc, I hid the actual mystery behind dating sim mechanic bullshit so that Ari would get distracted and not actually attempt to solve the actual mystery.
My character in your roleplay is not a detective. and in Hallie's roleplay, it was a detective. So it's different motivations.
Isn't that the best reason a GM is to make up bullshit reasons?
It's true.
Yes, you would think so. It gets really stressful. I was sweating when they were asking me things, and I was like, no, it's not over there.
I remember Ari said something along the lines in the beginning of, oh man, it could be this, but that would be really pathetic.
I started like reshuffling my notes a little bit. And I was like,
it wasn't me, okay? It was lame. It was whatever.
Oh boy, that's so funny. That's like I'm picturing that like a
Ari, just embrace that you're that good.
Oh, boy. Oh man, that's amazing.
Who came up with the idea for the podcast?
Kyle.
Kyle again?
We'll get there when we get to my story.
yeah.
So let's move down the track. Let's go, Tom. Tom, let's tell us about your game experience.
Well, I got my first role-playing books when I was 11.
Oh wow.
My parents got me the Player's Handbook for 3.5 D&D. And I loved reading it a lot, but I didn't really have anyone to play it with. So that never, even though I not quite collected, but gathered D&D stuff over the years, I didn't do anything with it until college, when the Numenera core rulebook first came out. And I didn't get invited to a game that someone else was running, so I decided I'll run my own game. I ran that for a group of friends, which include Hallie. And we just sort of kept running games after school. I ran a game of The Strange for a bunch of people, most of whom are now part of Quest Friends. And I've been running games for the group basically ever since, playing in the games that other people run.
Quick question, Tom. Were your parents gamers? Were they D&D players, or
Not tabletop role playing. My parents actually played a lot of computer games with me. So I got a lot of that from a lot of different genres, but they weren't specifically into tabletop role playing. Although I've run some games for my family since then.
Nice.
That's awesome. Ari?
Yeah. All right. So my first experience with gaming was like in high school, I think, when like some friends decided to play a role-playing game of Star Wars, just like A1 campaign, and they somehow invited me. So we just played the one session, and then it ended up in a cliffhanger because everything went poorly and things were about to explode, and then they were like, oh yeah, we'll play sometime after, and then that never happened, so it's in like this perpetual cliffhanger that will never resolve anymore. But then I wanted to play more because I really liked that like in person making a character kind of thing. So in college I was like trying to see who would like to run those games, and so that's kind of how I started, and I started playing a few in college, and then just playing some with, as Tom mentioned, he ran a couple, so I played some of the ones that he did, and then some that Hallie did, and that Kyle did, and finally a couple of weeks ago I actually started finally GMing my own, because some people were like, you have experience.
Oh, come on,
so I GM'd the first game, and it's going well. I mean,
I deserve a round of applause.
Yeah, Everything is on fire, but it's going well.
Ari, I hear an accent. Where's that from?
Yeah, Mexico.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
why I hate it so much in Book of Life. 'Cause,
Oh, don't hate it. There's good stuff.
uh, but yeah,
And Emily?
Well, I actually didn't play with any of them while they were in college. So I graduated 2 years after Kyle and Ari. And Tom and Hallie graduated before them. But they were the first people I played with, and I had wanted to for a really long time. And then I finally got to play a game, and I was like, okay, it's gonna be really weird because Kyle's bringing me in, and I'm gonna be the GM's girlfriend, and I don't know how to play, and I'm gonna be super weird. And I was so nervous that I was super weird.
You made reality everything. That's
You
awesome.
made your own reality.
Yeah.
I really
First
did.
session.
This was a first session where this was the one where I crocheted.
Yeah, you're the soccer mom.
Yeah,
I thought that was a fun character.
Yeah. I crocheted this Cypher. It was Cypher system. And I crocheted a Cypher into my sweater.
It became an artifact. I told her she could keep using it because it was a clever use.
Yeah, I agree with
Yeah,
that.
that was kind of cool.
Yeah,
Just-
that was like my one accomplishment. But I started running games just for a group of friends from college who only told me afterwards that they were like, oh yeah, we all actually do want to play. None of us wants to run a game, so we're telling you now because you've played,
'Cause
and
you
so
know.
you're gonna run a game for us. But now I actually kind of enjoy it.
Well, it's kind of cool that everybody is a game master, though. Even, that's normally very unheard of at a table.
I also love the fact that the majority of you started with Numenera and started later.
Right.
You know, usually a lot of people we get it's like either for the exception of Tom, but it's either I started in junior high or I started after college. But you guys, started later, and you started with Numenera, which
You started with a Cypher system game, which is
we Cypher Unlimited, so
we
it
endorse
rocks
that.
to us. Yeah.
I'll chill hard for Cypher system. I'll chill real hard.
System.
Are we on?
All right, so we waiting on you, Kyle.
Okay, let me tell you a tale. Well, two tales, really. Two stories that intersect in the creation of a podcast. Okay, so I'm going to tell one, then another, then come back to the first.
I got you.
Here's
One.
my
other.
role-playing.
Okay.
my
All right,
role-
I'm up to date.
So my role-playing experience actually started when a friend introduced me to the webcomic Darths and
No,
Droids,
forgot about
which
that.
it's a comic that reframes the entire Star Wars, all of them, reframes the Star Wars movies at the time, the prequels, as role-playing sessions. It was really fun, and I was like, oh, it's just improv. That seems like fun. And then I did my first game. It was Pathfinder. I didn't get along well with Pathfinder. I think with more...
That was also my first game. I also did not get along with that.
Because the thing is, I went in really wanting to improv and very light rules, and it was honestly, I think it was good that I started with it because it re-centered my expectations. It was like, oh, it's not just improv; there are mechanics and stuff. And so then Tom comes to me later and says, "Hey, I want to do this thing called The Strange. It's a lot simpler," and it was. And so I really like The Strange. I really hate classical Western fantasy aesthetic. I just get bored by it. I really like Lord of the Rings, but I hate everything inspired by Lord of the Rings. So, and the Pathfinder we did, it was kind of sci-fi, but there's still a lot of classical fantasy there. So having the game The Strange, which was, it had a fantasy setting, but like very modern day, very sci-fi. It was a lot of fun, and I think one of the big things that also let me cement it was that my character and Ari's character became best friends immediately. And it's just really nice when you have another character you can bounce off of immediately. So I got really into that, and I played more games. And eventually I started running them. But we'll get back to that after we get to my other story. Since about 2011, I had tried multiple times on the YouTube channel Inspiration Bandit to make it big as a YouTuber. That's what I was doing. I was going to make them YouTube videos. And the thing is, I always had ideas. I was overflowing with ideas, but they would take forever to get done. It'd be like months and months and months. And I'd always be like, well, that's just how long it takes. But not really. It was a struggle to get anything done. But I was convinced that's where I was going to go. So anyways, after a few years of playing, I decided to pull up the Cypher system because the Cypher system, I will say, the thing I love most about it is as a GM, how easy it is to improv and create new characters and new mechanics and stuff. So I ran four adventures. Two of them were one shots. So one was the crocheted one. We had a butler. We had a man named Buff Manning. That was Tom's character. He was a very tough man. I did another one that was a superhero one where Ari ended up killing herself. It was very strange. Not nearly as good.
My least favorite character fight.
Oh, was it Doom?
Yeah. I wouldn't talk about it.
By kill yourself, you meant like your character committed suicide or died in combat?
Ari's character, Ari, literally, the human being, Ari was the final boss.
Yeah. This isn't on Ari.
My dog.
Ari's character mind-controlled Tom to kill Ari. It was a bad session.
Some weird
My fault.
There's
Lots of memories made. Lots of good ideas.
There's no such thing as bad sessions.
It's
Just
true.
misunderstood sessions.
This stuff sounds like classic.
Yeah.
So, and then I ran 2 sessions based on the online series Ruby, which I was a very big fan of, but also had very big issues with. And I took out that angst in the form of role-playing sessions. Anyways, after that happened, I decided I wanted to do a full game. And Tom had mentioned that he had a Numenera character for years. And he told me about the world. And he said, listen, it's fantasy, but all the magic is tech. So not really fantasy. And I was like, hey, that's what I want. I want the loosest of sci-fis, which is basically what it is. So I started work on that. And at the same time, I was listening to The Adventure Zone and really getting into it. And I didn't know actual plays existed at this time. I also didn't know how many of them there were. I looked up a role-playing podcast, but for some reason couldn't find a list of any. So I'm like, oh man, this is going to be great. There's like only The Adventure Zone and Critical Role, and then it'll be us. Amazing. Yeah.
That's hilarious because I can picture you having this conversation.
That was a shock. So yeah, I ended up running this, and my thought process was, hey, each session, very little editing. I can get out 3 episodes per session. I can make each session an arc, because I had done one shot, so I was very used to telling a complete story in one session. So it was like each session is an arc. I'll do this as a side thing, and my, YouTube, I'll still focus on YouTube. Now, almost 2 years later, 4 arcs have spilled out into 40 episodes and counting. My YouTube channel is slowly dying because every time another person that I used to like comes out as being terrible, like JonTron, I have to exile any video that references them. And yeah, I've been doing this very, very consistently in a way that I never did with my other creative endeavors. So.
But you have the Quest Friends YouTube channel now.
We do have the YouTube channel, which I'm very bad at updating. It's not that much more work than uploading the episode, but for some reason,
I know, dude. I was trying to do research. Thanks a lot. I was like, let me go to YouTube first.
It's caught up now. Thank you very much.
Oh boy.
The dishwasher.
Not, but I it's always like 1 a.m. when I'm done.
But so what led you to actually start Quest Friends? Like, what was the sparking idea? Like, hey, let's do this.
I forget how I said it to everyone else, so I'll say where it was in my mind, and everyone can say how I phrased it to them. But it was like I was going to do this Numenera session. It was going to be this Numenera campaign. It was going to be really cool, really short. I really liked the Adventure Zone, and in my mind, at that point, I just thought, oh, they just record their sessions and put it online. That's not much work. And I'd always been frustrated with the fact that there was no preserving of our games. There was a little bit at the beginning of the Strange. Ari made some videos to preserve it, but that only got like 3 sessions, only a handful of sessions in, because as Ari do long before I did, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Did you know? I'm sorry. I was gonna ask. Did you know this was the cast that you wanted?
Yeah.
Beforehand?
I mean, these are the people I game with. This was. I mean, occasionally other people would be added, but this was basically exclusively the group that I used for my games, or at least the core group. Like, occasionally they'd switch out. So it was basically like, hey, I'm going to run a game with my best friends anyway. I might as well just record it and then put it out as a fun side project. Like, that's not that much additional, and then we get to keep the memories forever.
As somebody who's listened to about 20 episodes in the last 3 days, you could. Yes, I said 20 episodes in the last 3 days. You could definitely. Your friendship definitely comes through. You could definitely tell that you're not a put together cast, but actual friends that like each other. Or you could be just bullshitting me the whole way, and you're good actors. But
either way, it works.
Yeah, either way, it works.
So, and I guess that would lead us to the next question. You know, was Numenera always your first choice for the setting? And, you know, you kind of told us why you chose the setting, but was that always your first choice, or what were you leaning towards before that?
It was always Numenera. I wanted to do a campaign. Tom wanted to do Numenera. He got me interested in it. That's what I did. There wasn't really much thought process behind a lot of it, because I thought it was going to be a small thing, so I didn't put much thought into it.
So I see you're still holding on to the original core rule book. And do you use any of the other supplements, you know, or any of the, you know, other things?
Discover Destiny.
Or like Priest of the Aeon, or, you know, or have you adapted any like Slave of the Machine Gods, or Into the Dark, or Into the Outside, or, you know, all that excess stuff that's out there.
D could go forever. He's just gonna name every book.
I opened up the character options and the new books to everybody. Like, I can't remember everyone. I know Ari's focus comes from a character options.
So does mine.
And Hallie's. Tom, does yours come from the core rulebook or character?
My focus is from the core rulebook, but my descriptor is from the first character option.
Okay. So I basically opened it up to any book Tom had, and whenever we have guests, I open them up to Discovery and Destiny. And occasionally we'll steal rules from other systems. For example, little preview for Monday's episode. We stole the follower rule. Well, no, we made our own follower rules. We stole some of the mechanics from Predation.
It's similar to Predation, yeah.
Oh, Predation is awesome.
That's the one I GM'd. That's the one
Oh, it's awesome.
I love it.
But we've always used this kind of as the base, and that's mostly I took one thing from what one do the what do the mantles come from?
Oh, they come from Into the Dark. That's where the mantles are from.
Into the Dark. So I took the mantles from Into the Dark. But besides that, I've used this as a stepping stone for at what this point is primarily just my own homebrew content in the world. And that's for a whole lot of reasons, one of which I'm very lazy. I don't like to read core rule books. So I'll usually just take bits and pieces of inspiration, but it's also for kind of copyright reasons. The further we've expanded into more medias, the less beholden I've wanted to become to the Monty Cook Games copyright. So like if I ever do like the Roulettia module, the reason I was able to make that was because it was all original content, and the few things referencing the core rulebook I could rename.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
I mean, you guys touched on character creation. First off, I love how all your guys' characters are lighthearted and fun. I told you off camera, maybe the first time we tried to film this, how I really enjoyed the comedic aspect of your gameplay. So what was the creative process for each one of you when doing character creation? Because I think you guys have very original and fun characters.
And give us your sentence, please.
Oh.
Your character sentence.
Oh yeah. I guess I can start off since my character was technically the first one made. So Shock is a Bosnian nano who talks to machines. The original inspiration for this was when I first got the first character options add-on, and I got to the Bosnian descriptor. I immediately fell in love with that idea behind a character concept because I love the Wheel of Buzz from the core rulebook. It's one of my favorite locations. Mm-hmm. So I immediately wanted to build a nano around that concept. But the specifics of what Shock became sort of developed over time. I forget when all of the elements started to come together, but I feel like I had the mechanical concept for years and years before Quest Friends started, when I first got that book. But then a lot of the visual details came out like right before Quest Friends had started, when we were starting to think about, we need to commission some art. What are these people going to look like? And Shock as a person, I really sort of developed in play. I usually like to come in with a strong idea of my character before I start playing, but invariably that plan changes when you start.
It's true.
You just start acting a different way. You build up relationships with certain characters. You get a certain voice, and it just sort of comes out in the game.
Nice. And let's go to Hallie.
I think I actually took the longest during character creation. I know that we prepped a couple months in advance, and I just had no idea what kind of character I wanted to play. So then I went through my list of like fictional characters to take inspiration from. I like to start base with like a fictional character that I like and admire, and then see how my character evolves from that base, sort of. And then I was like, oh, I've been wanting to do a character who's kind of like Hopper from Stranger Things. Because I really liked Stranger Things season 1. And I was like, I'm going to keep the name Hopper because I really like that. It's fun. And then the other part of that character, I wanted to base off of Ben Wyatt from Parks and Recreation. And the actor who plays Ben Wyatt, his name is Adam Scott. And I just think he's very funny. I like his countenance. I think he has very good expressions. And I wanted to channel that sort of a vibe for my Hopper. So I was trying to think of a way to add an homage to his name. So I was like, Scott, Skit, Scat, Scotch. And then it was like, Hopperscotch, hopscotch, oh my god. I held on to that for like 2 hours until I could get to my phone. And then I messaged everyone. And I was like, okay, my character, just here, listen to this. His name is this, but he goes by Hopperscotch, and sometimes he's known as Hopscotch. And the first reaction was from Tom, and he was like, how long have you been laughing by yourself? And it was worth it.
But one funny aside. I didn't want to cut you off, but one funny aside. Now that I'm talking, that actor who plays Ben from Parks and Rec, I know you just said Adam Scott. It's so weird seeing him play like an evil guy in The Good Place. Have you seen The Good Place?
I have.
It's so weird seeing. Yeah, I mean, it's he does a good job, but it's just so weird seeing him play like such a different character. But that's just a random aside. So,
I was just saying, Hallie, what's your full sentence for Hopper?
All right, my sentence is Hopperscotch is. Oh no, he's an honorable Jack who beats out justice. That's what he is.
Nice.
And beats out justice, I think, is from...
That's from the core rules and from the CSR.
This one, yeah.
I like that focus a lot, actually.
Sorry, the character options. Yeah.
So that's Hopper. He really clicked for me after I found a name for him.
That was such a
Nah.
good backstory for the name.
Ari?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the one sentence Misha is they are an artificially intelligent nano that speaks to the data sphere. So they are an android, an amnesiac android. So, well, I guess I also kind of like Tom had an idea for this character that I wanted to play since before Quest Friends. It initially started because I really like, there's like this one movie called Short Circuit about this really cute rogue robot.
Oh, I love that. That's actually one movie I have seen. I have seen Short Circuit.
Oh my God, Alice in a movie.
I have seen that one.
Number 5 is alive.
And so it was like, it started with that. Then I got the opportunity on another game, a Pathfinder game run by another one of our friends, to play an android. And I was like, oh man, I want an android that's kind of like that. And I wanted that android that was kind of like that mixture with like C-3PO, kind of goofy. But the Pathfinder system didn't really allow me to play the character I wanted to play. And I also made that character too serious, and I like butchered it, and I couldn't just bring it back to what I wanted originally. And then when I heard about Kyle's Quest Friends idea, I also saw that there was, again, an opportunity to play an artificially intelligent character. Like, okay, second round, I can do this. And so like, it was like, I'm going to try and make my amnesiac rogue, like, little robot again. And so I did. And then the name, so basically it started with that. And then kind of like Hallie, I also like to have like another, like base it around a specific character. So besides just being like a random amnesiac robot, I also based them off of Castiel from Supernatural, because I like that. And I wanted them to be a little bit just like clueless and like not understanding what was going on just because they just couldn't. And so the wear that they wear and stuff is based on that character as well. And the last name Jarvis, it's because part of my inspiration of how they would behave is on Edwin Jarvis from the show Agent Carter. So not from the typical Jarvis of Tony Stark, but from the actual butler Edwin Jarvis, because I really like him. And that's how I came up with Misha. And Misha just came because I really like the name Misha, and then it just clicked that I could make an acronym out of that. I was like, what can I do with these 4 letters? So I was like, I know, machine instead of human armor, just click on it.
That's awesome.
And I did it. So yeah, that's it.
And Emily?
Well, Kyle has something he wants to show you.
Okay, so I'm gonna play a little clip. I put it up to the mic. This clip is gonna explain why I originally vetoed the name Ellie Badge so hard it wrapped around the planet and then came back.
Elderly, and for performing above and beyond the call of duty, I would like to award you the highest honor I can bestow, the Ellie Badge.
It's just a reference to the movie Up. It's just an explicit. It is that quote from the movie Up as a name. That's all it is. And then I was like, "Hey, what's your backstory?" I had a husband. His name was Carl, and I'm like, "That's just Up."
Okay.
That's just
You
Up.
are explaining my character for me, Kyle.
So are you tell them how Ellie is just Up.
Well, yeah, a little bit, but let me explain myself. I started with I wanted to have an old man. I knew that I wanted to have an elderly character, and it was going to be a little old man, and that's when I started thinking about like Carl from Up and this cranky old man who was also really tough. But then I realized that there were not any female characters, any female PCs, and that's fine.
Sexist.
But I decided that I didn't want it to, and yeah, I decided
Well,
I wanted.
Was it a straight ripoff of Up? You never confirmed or denied that.
So now, when this shift happened, I was like, oh no, I have to rethink this. I have to rethink everything. And then I was like, oh wait, no I don't. Carl died, Ellie lived, there we go. Don't have to think any further
And
about it.
you might think, oh well, you know, there's some original stuff. Like, she doesn't have a house that she carries around. She has.
You came up with that.
No, but the candles are still virtually the same as the house. Okay. Like the idea of you're carrying around the baggage of the dead person. For Carl, it's a house. For Ellie, it's candles.
I don't think I made that connection at first, though. I think I just came up with I wanted her to have a hat with a bunch of crap on it. And I rolled an oddity. Or, like, I was trying to think of an oddity.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh, candles that always stay lit. I'll put it on her hat with all the random junk on it. So
Nice.
that metaphor, not on me.
Blame Kyle.
So I have one quick question for you, Kyle, before we round out the character discussion. Did you give them any like restrictions, or like did you look at any designs and be like, I actually don't like that, can you change something around, or did you just give them free reign from certain books?
Yeah, I did. I said, hey, we can't have explicit references to other media. Like Ellie bad. Literally, that's the only conversation I had. That was my only restriction, was I didn't want explicit references to other characters.
That's the only reason that I pushed it. You got so upset over it.
Like there's
Well, you were kind of a butt about it.
like
And so then I wanted it really badly.
yeah, so I pushed for that. I think the only other thing I pushed for is it's hard to tell on our icon. You'll be able to tell in a future project that'll come a ways down the road. But Ellie character is the only one of the 4 protagonists who isn't in our official icon art. The only one who isn't white, and that was also something. Because I was like, I just want just one person who isn't white, just one. That's all I want. And so that was another bit of pushing I did. Although Emily was gonna do it anyway, but like those are the only 2 times I pressed down. Was when it was like, I'm not sure about the name Ellie Badge. I lost that fight. And I really don't want everyone to be white. And that wasn't really a fight. It was like, okay. And then that. But besides that, I trusted everyone to make characters and make them well. So.
Kyle trusts me
yeah,
a lot
sounds
less.
like
Kyle trusts me a lot less after the Ruby
incidents?
games we played, where I mean, okay, and in his defense, I did sort of exploit mechanics by asking if I could do a thing that I really shouldn't have been able to do. But I then used one of his
Broke
homebrew abilities to make a very, very broken character.
You min-maxing you, Tom.
I min-maxed the Cypher system. That's how much of a bad player I am.
Oh boy!
Don't know, Tom. I don't know.
I mean, if the homebrew could be exploited, I mean, like, whose fault is it there?
I mean, Kyle had one rule. He said you could do whatever you want, just no Up references. And once that got destroyed, you know.
Oh boy! But now that we've talked a bit about, you know, your creative processes and stuff, do you guys have any advice for any listeners who may want to start their own actual play podcast? And what are some pitfalls they can avoid, both as a producer and an actor? Because, you know, we have both of you guys here.
So someone asked me this the other day, and I had a massive list of 15 things. I'm not going to go through all 15. I'm gonna mention 2. I'm gonna mention 2 as a showrunner. 3. I'm gonna mention 3. The first one that I think is really helpful is to run basically a pilot session. I've seen advice before to run a pilot episode for podcasts, and in our case, it's a pilot session. So it's a single session you run. When I do it, it's the same characters as in the show. So if we have a season 2, we'll start by doing a pilot session where all the characters go. They do a single isolated adventure that will never get released and may or may not even be canon. And the idea behind that is lets everyone give time. It gives everyone time to get comfortable with their characters, because it always takes at least one session to really get used to your character. And so that's not, the audience isn't having to listen to us do that initial rough steps. It also gives, the big thing is it gives you as a showrunner the opportunity to run a session, make episodes out of it, get feedback in case you need to change your structure at all, and also just be like, hey, this is a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. Do I still want to do it? Or if there's someone who's like really afraid of like, hey, this is going to be a lot of work, am I still okay? Well, then you can try this out. And like, if you're worried, maybe you find out, hey, it's not actually a big deal after all. I can still do this. So it's just a good way to really get your feet wet in this new media. The second one is transcripts. Transcripts are very, 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 very important. They're helpful for people who, with hearing disability. They're helpful for search engine optimization. They're helpful for you. I use my transcripts all the time when looking back and seeing, hey, what did I say in the past? Because I know what my notes said, but what did I physically say? But the big thing about transcripts is getting them started ASAP. I waited until we were about 25 episodes in, and that backlog was misery to catch up on, because there was no way a single person could catch up. So eventually I had to reach out to like a dozen people who all had different styles, and they all had to be consolidated. And Emily had a breakdown because she was the one doing all the work. So transcripts are extremely important, and they should be started at the very beginning. And the third thing is reach out to people for help. I run everything. I'm Mr. Quest Friends. But the thing is, most of the Patreon content, we have short stories that everyone writes, and it's just sharing between the 5 of us makes it from I have to make a short story every month to I have to make a short story every, basically twice a year, which is significantly more manageable. Tom runs the Facebook. All he has to do for that is post an episode when it comes up, but that's one less thing I have to worry about and I have to manage in my brain. Emily is the one who, it used to be a big deal, a lot less big deal now, who just verifies the transcripts before they go live. So it's like, even though I'm still doing most of the work, 90% of it, being able to portion out just tiny pieces, even if it's just a tiny, tiny little piece, it's going to save you. Because it's just getting any weight off your shoulders is going to be helpful. That's all I got. I mean, I got 12 more items. I want to be here all day, so those are 3.
As cast members of the show, do you feel that you had to change anything from playing in a home game to playing in a recorded session?
Well, a little bit, in that I guess the best way to phrase it is that, and Kyle will often say this to anyone who asks, is that he runs this a bit differently than he would a normal private session campaign. It's set up with the intention of being fiction that someone consumes. He's running this with the intention of it eventually becoming an edited audio drama. So it's both a game and also something that we are not exactly scripting, but trying to turn into a functional, cohesive story. And so there's a little bit more pre-planning and coordination as players, that you don't always see for players in a tabletop game, where we end up working out things ahead of time sometimes. This will be introducing such and such plot down the road, and we have rough ideas for it. We never know we usually don't know anyway the specifics of what Kyle will do, but there's a little bit more pre-planning, or the idea of like, hey, your character is going to be interested in this coming up, right? And working that sort of thing out ahead of time.
Yeah, making sure all the pieces fit too. So I think a lot of the fun of role playing is the improvisation and the surprise of what happens. So if you are doing an actual play where you kind of have to consider story arcs and foreshadowing and stuff, it does not ruin the fun of the improvisation at all. Like, knowing general arcs and like directions of where things will go have been knocked off my feet on several different occasions by certain developments in the story. And even when it's just a little detail that you just weren't seeing coming, you'll find fun in it no matter how many things that you have to plan or how much work you have to put in to make a satisfying character arc. Also, if you are going to start actual play, buy no less than 4 sets of dice, because they will all betray you at any point, like they wouldn't in a normal campaign.
I mean, that's my general advice in general. Collect dice. Just get dice.
If you talk to me and Al, we'll both tell you there's never a such thing as too many dice. 4, that's not enough. More dice.
No less than 4, certainly. But if you're like me and trying to space out how many new sets of dice you get so that you still have hope when you get a new one, you can space it out a little bit and just build slowly.
Oh yeah, this is true.
That hope is fleeting, because the first roll is a 1, and you're like, this dice is wood forever.
Yeah.
Ari, Emily, what do your guys change your mindset when you're playing for actual play instead of a home game?
Yeah, I feel like I agree with what Tom and Hallie have said. I mean, the fun of the improving part is still there, and it's still great on that regard. But I feel like sometimes I do need to think a little bit more of what my character will say, because I know that like if it's a play, like a game just with like people without it being recorded and like going out for other people's consumption or whatever, like I can say a thing and then I can butcher it and it's fine, or it can be slightly out of character and it's okay. But like here, I sometimes like I worry more about being more in character while still improvising a bit, so that like the story still flows fine and things like that. And I think another thing that is different and that people have to also consider a lot when starting in general an actual play or any sort of podcast is that audio is harder than one might think. Like, it's audio, like, you can regulate it easy. And no, it's a pain, like both for everybody involved. I know that Kyle can tell you the same. Sometimes mics just decided to be weird for no reason. Like you have everything set, every like shielded, no echo, like, and it's still weird. And it's like, I have no clue. I've done the same thing twice. One time it worked, it didn't. So that's another thing. Yeah.
The other day we were recording, and one of the mics just decided to start screaming near the end, and it was like, and like we were sitting there, and like Tom pointed it out, and I just sat there. I'm like, you know what? We've got 5 minutes left. We're just gonna roll with it. But like,
did you all start screaming?
Just happened out of the blue.
Did all of your guys start screaming? So sorry, didn't seem out of place.
It was just one mic. Just one mic was like, "Hey, I'm gonna be a little louder today." I feel like
I didn't even touch it. I treat it like a shrine, and then sometimes it's still weird.
Well, in my day, we called those gremlins.
Yeah. Maybe I have gremlins in my house.
Yeah, they just, the gremlins, they get in your electronics and, and they play with things and cross wires. So don't worry about it. It's okay.
We'll introduce gremlins, and it can be an ARG that we associate with us.
Yeah. We live in a new day and age, man, so you never know.
Emily, did you change your mindset in any way?
I started actually talking, but I and you spitting out your water.
I'm not gonna spit it out. That's disgusting.
But
You guys are such a couple.
It's fine.
But I think that one of the things that I kind of wish we had a session 0, like a practice session, because I needed to get past the feeling that I needed to be really, really funny and just make jokes all the time and not do anything else, and like only say smart or funny things. And I did the thing again where I thought that I was gonna be weird, and so I made it really weird.
Luckily, Ellie's the kind of character who would sit there in an awkward situation and be like, I'm gonna do what smart and attractive people do. But she doesn't know what smart and attractive people do. So she's just awkward.
Just Emily.
So really, it was still in character.
That's like actually a great point. We don't record podcasts, but we do a lot of actual plays, and we record with members of our server who are not necessarily used to being either on camera or recording a live session, and I think that's the most common. Like most people feel like they have to be on, like I have to be entertaining, and that's like a hard habit to break, and I think everyone feels that. Even when you're gaming with strangers that you've never met before, like you want to put your best foot forward. You want to be as entertaining as possible.
That pressure is really hard to shake when we're recording. Like, I know it's hard for me sometimes to step out of the people are going to hear me speak. It's not just my friends. I have to be on all the time. But I think that it's important to remember that you shouldn't be afraid to be boring. Because if you're just not going out of your way to say anything clever, if you're just responding to the situation that's happening, that kind of stuff will happen naturally. And you'll feel a lot better about how you're reacting to situations in character too. I find that I respond much more organically if I'm just like not worried about overanalyzing what I'm doing, making sure it's in character, if I just let myself respond to things naturally.
Well,
I
I'll
agree with
just
that.
jump on that bandwagon and agree with you 199, because that's exactly what I was going to kind of get to, is when you step outside. I found even as a game master, my best sessions are when I, forget all the excess notes, forget the notebook, and just get in there to tell the story with the people, to make it fun, to make it enjoyable. Because I've noticed, like, playing with Anthony, I don't know if you guys know, but Anthony's notorious for adapting, movies and stuff like that. And we did a comedy session of Star Wars. And it was basically the mundane characters, the janitors and
They played janitors on the Death Star.
That's right up our alley. Yeah.
The day the rebels attacked.
Love it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I mean, because I've been GMing and playing games for over 20 years, and I still feel the pressure to be on every time I play. So I could totally relate to that. Like that whole concept, especially playing with strangers for some reason. Like you feel like you don't want to let anyone down. So I could imagine with your close friends that it's probably even more so.
I switched my mindset, but I switched it just a little too much. To where I didn't talk at all, and then I felt like I had to be really, really on and only say funny things, and I would like hold on to a thing, and like then I would say it, but it would be like too late, and I would make it weird. And I've calmed down, and I still have that pressure, but I think Hallie hit the nail on the head with the advice part.
From a viewer though, for someone that listened to it, honestly, Emily, I wouldn't have really thought that from someone listening So I don't know what to tell you because I thought it's actually pretty good stuff from a viewer standpoint. Like I wouldn't have even imagined that was the case.
But yeah, I think
Yeah.
one of the things someone say something.
No, go ahead.
One of the things that I noticed, and I was actually rewatching one of my old YouTube videos today because they're not all dead, was that basically every time I tried to make a joke, it was terrible. And all the funny stuff was me not trying to make jokes and genuinely responding. And like, if you listen to Quest Friends, besides puns, there aren't a lot of explicit jokes. There's characters in fun or silly situations, but I would never consider them like jokes. Like, I don't know, at one point, you haven't gotten to this yet and you're listening, but at one point, there's a bunch of random NPCs who are obsessed with this guy named Chris. They just all want to impress this guy named Chris. And there's not really a punchline to that. It's just, wow, this is kind of entertaining. And that's just a lot easier to maintain, is just like having, oh, here's an endearing character or a fun hook or something, and just rolling with that. And like, people will describe our show as funny, but like, there aren't many punchlines.
Makes sense.
Just fun things that happen.
Character-based humor is good humor.
I hard agree.
I think it's funny because it's natural.
Yes.
Like the comedy happens organically. It isn't, like it isn't like I'm pre-scripting. I'm not writing an episode of Saturday Night Live. It's your guys.
Right.
Your guys are just naturally funny together as a core group.
But that's what I was saying about your adventure. It wasn't. I know it was meant to be a comedy, but most of it was just everything unfolding, organically. So that's the kind of stuff I mean. It kind of works out. With all that being said, I got a question for you guys, if you don't mind. You guys did some crossover episodes with Amberclave, so part one is, how did that come about? And secondly, do you guys plan to do more episodes with crossovers, maybe with different shows, or, want some special guests or anything like that?
And we love Acer and Megan. We've had them on our show before, so I don't know if you guys seen that, but they awesome people.
So what happened with that was, when we first started, I immediately was like, who are friends we can make? And then the Amberclave appeared a few months after us. I'm like, yeah, they were established, but it was still a new show, so I'm like, we're gonna be friends. It's gonna happen. And so I immediately started just retweeting the shit out of their stuff. So basically, for a while, I had, the summer before that, I had gotten together all the Numenera shows I was familiar with, which at the time was Fandible, the Amberclave, and RPG Lab, which streamed. And we did this just thing as GMs talking about Numenera, because I really wanted to make connections and get to know folks. And I forget where I had the idea for doing an Amberclave episode, but I remember I just had the idea of, wow, it'd be fun to have our characters in the Amberclave universe, and then have the Amberclave characters in our universe, kind of see that overlap. And actually, a fun part of that is some of the lore set up in that is a consistent thing that's going to come back in other bonus episodes. So that's where the idea came in, and then I contacted Megan. I'm like, hey, we've talked a few times, we've worked together, do you want to do this crossover? It was something even back when we were doing the Numenera GM thing. I was like, I wanted to have crossovers eventually. That was kind of my way of easing into it. She said she wanted to, and then we just did it. That's basically how that came about. I've had the idea to do continued what-if scenarios. I thought it'd be fun to throw our characters in literally different campaigns and different game systems. I think in Numenera crossover is fun, but I think the real benefit of the what-if scenario is really stretching to other systems. But that's not going to happen anytime soon, because we've got holiday crossovers for Halloween. We've got 2 to 3 crossovers. I recorded one yesterday, I'm not going to say who it was with, but they do Numenera stuff. I'm going to record another one with somebody who doesn't own a podcast, but is very closely associated with us. And then, depending on scheduling, I might do one with the third actual play show, which we have a lot of crossover with fans.
Oh, nice.
And then, so those are going to be 3 short episodes. The one we recorded yesterday, it will not be short. But 3 short episodes, and then we're going to have a big crossover in December with a podcast that we're just fans of. They aren't actual play, and like they have an actual play, but we're not crossing over with the actual play. We're crossing over with the non-actual play.
It's all my fault. I'm sorry.
It's all Ari's fault. I was suggesting crossovers for Halloween, and Ari suggested this one that relates to Christianity in some way, and I thought.
Sorry.
Hey, I already got Halloween booked. What if we did a Christmas special?
That's a really good. Well, both of them have like a really good GM or like voice for role playing. Like one special is like, oh, I can hear you as a role playing character. You have a good voice.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're doing crossover. We're doing some more. One's like the Amberclave, it's a Numenera. One's another actual play. One's someone who doesn't do podcasts at all. And then one is a literal history podcast. We're going to cross over with a history podcast.
It's going to be great.
That's awesome, though. That's definitely different.
That sounds like an interesting project, quite honestly.
I'm excited.
And now that you're saying, since you like to do crossovers, let's do a Cypher Unlimited crossover.
In-universe interview. Let's go. We're going to cross over. We're going to do it hard, and I'm going to steal your gimmick. Steal your format.
Hey, yo, it's your boy Kyle Decker here.
No, it would be in-universe. It'd be like,
Okay.
hey, it's your boy Tommy.
But you also have to waste 45 minutes before the episode starts.
Yes, that is key. That's
The
key.
first episode is just for technical difficulties.
That should be the title of the first. That should be the title of the episode. Technical difficulties.
I actually really like that premise of some characters trying to put on a show, and the whole arc is just
technical difficulties.
It happens. It starts out as an interview, it cuts out, and then the adventure is getting it to work together.
There you go. Awesome. There we go.
I'd watch and play that.
Everything's a story.
I'm gonna steer the conversation back to the interview because that's what I do. For Women in Gaming Month, Haley, you actually took your first, chance at the GM's chair. With the Cookie Crew series. Could you just touch on what was your gaming experience like? GMing for the first time, and is that something you guys plan to do going further, like rotating the GM's chair for Quest Friends?
I'm not sure about rotate. Well, for the miniseries, it's me, and then Kyle is GM proper. I'm not sure if we talked about doing an off season between seasons where Tom GMs a game, but other than that, I don't think there are any plans. Kyle, back me up here to.
At least at the point as we get through season 2, it's going to be me for the main season. We've discussed potentially, if we even get to a third season, which is years down the line. If we get to that point, we've discussed the idea of moving it potentially to somebody else. We'll see how it goes. The direction things have been going, I'm really the only person with the time to do all of it. So I'll probably still do the main series, but I want to, which is fine. I really like having, I think I would get a little restless if I wasn't really focusing on doing it. And I know if someone else took over a main series, I'd immediately start doing a side series, just as long and frequent. But I think there's going to be plenty of opportunities for other people to GM in like mid-season breaks or things like the Cookie Crew. I want our special things to be special, and one of the things about that is having me step away.
Yeah. Which is where the Cookie Crew came into being, because we weren't aware until like maybe May that June was Women in Gaming Month. We were like, how did we not know? That's awesome that there's a Women in Gaming Month. So we were like, we should do something for that. And then it happened to be Girl Scout cookie season, and there were girls who were trying to sell me cookies. I bought 4 boxes, and I was like, oh man, if we did like a Women in Gaming special session, you know, Girl Scout cookies would be a good thematic tie-in because it's Girl Scout cookies. And Kaya was like, I know that you're half kidding. Then they're delicious. I know that you're half kidding, but what if this? And then so he had already hinted in our main story that there was a backstory going on in Anquan with Anastasia Brockleberry, who was my first PC back in Tom's game in college, who I resurrected. Kyle just made her a part of the Quest Friends universe, which was super cool, and I'm really happy about that. So in the original campaign, she took back her kingdom from her evil cousin, and this is about her restoring order in her kingdom using cookies as like a fundraising / diplomacy thing, because Anquan's not doing great. They don't have like a lot of resources, and we just thought it would be like fun. So I asked some other friends. Emily joined us for the first one. Ari could not for the first one, but she's in the second one. And then I asked 2 childhood friends of mine named Olivia and Cassidy to play, and they were all for it because they both separately developed an interest in role playing. And then when we talked about it, we all realized like, oh my god, we love role playing. So I invited all of them to join, and it was a blast. I was really nervous. I had so many notes, and I showed them to Kyle, and he was like, you need less notes. And I was like, fuck you, these are all of my notes. I'm keeping them.
She had like the first 5 minutes of dialogue scripted word for word, and I was like, Hallie, this isn't an outline, this is a script.
Well, I needed exposition, and I was so nervous, guys. And my plan was to get them all, like, they had to do a diplomatic mission, and they had a diplomat with them who I separated from them, except then they went after her, and I had made a plan that I made her just dislikable enough that they wouldn't want to go after her, except that they did, and I had nothing planned for that. So they split the party on my first ever GM session. Not only that, they split the party 3 ways out of 3 characters. All 3 of them did a different thing, and I was like, guys, you're killing me. So I had to make up this whole extra like side adventure on like just on the fly, and it all worked out, and I think it was like really fun. And
what was that moment?
Player characters.
Sorry, what?
I said, don't you just love player characters?
No, like they're the worst. It's just like you can't all keep doing these things, and they all roll really well. Like I had to make a certain thing happen, and then someone rolled a 20, and I was like, I'm gonna be a real dick this game. Like completely gloss over that. But it was so much fun that we wanted to do it again the next year. We had a little bit better with the planning because we didn't make it in time for June last year. We released it September. I think
it was August or September.
Yeah,
it was September because it was on.
Oh.
Yeah, that's when I had time finally to edit that.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you were nervous. What was that moment when you realized that everything's gonna be okay? You know,
there wasn't one.
I still feel that way to this day.
I just powered through. That's it. I still feel like that. We ran the second part of the Cookie Crew mini series just a few months ago, and that's also a 4-part. And the second part came out yesterday, right, Kyle? Yesterday?
Tuesday?
Monday.
Today's Wednesday.
Today's Wednesday. So
2 days ago. Time is an illusion. It came out 2 days ago. And when we recorded that one, I was feeling a lot better going in because I was like, I've done this before. My notes are only 2 pages this time. And then we split it into 2 sessions to make it more manageable. And for the second session, I had like 2 sentences of notes, maybe. Like I was just like, I'm going to wing it. I'm going to fly. And I felt like it didn't go quite as well as the first time. So I'm still on like the GM jitters about the Cookie Crew. I've been assured that it's fine. But that's probably.
Sorry, that explains why you started up with what we were doing last time when I got to the second half of all this. I didn't realize it was 2 sessions. I totally forgot that.
Yeah, we had to do it over 2 nights, and we're gonna keep that because there will be a Cookie Crew 3. We're gonna do that over 2 nights as well. That's just the better way. But I have so much fun with the Cookie Crew. Ari was able to join us for that second one. We also we are in the process of releasing Cookie Crew short stories on the Patreon. This is Cookie Crew month, so I think the first 2 are up. Arif and Alix.
Arif and Alix is this Friday, and then Hannelore is the Friday.
Hannelore is, yeah. So those will all be up, and I'm super proud of my girls. It's like a really fun side series. I really love running it.
That's awesome.
It's great.
Nice.
It's always good to hear about those good experiences, first time GM. Even though things don't go your way, you learn and you get better.
Like I said, you got to embrace that because we always tell people, make all the plans you want, then throw them out the window because the players are going to do it for you.
They don't care about your plans.
Exactly. But we've touched a lot on the editing, and we know that Kyle does a good portion of it with every now and then someone helps. But who does the music and art for you guys? Who I know you mentioned one artist earlier. Is that your sole artist? Is there other artists involved? Musicians?
Mandy Robertson, the official artist of Quest Friends. He asked if we could call her that, and I said, we've been calling you that privately for years. She does the official icon artwork. Whenever we branch out and do a new big project, not that anything like that has happened yet, we usually ask her. She didn't do the art for the Roulettia module, but she's typically for our main or our official projects. She's our go-to person. Otherwise, I've commissioned a whole bunch of artists. So Emily is our second most frequent artist. For our short stories, we have a newsletter on the Patreon. And our short stories have some accompanying illustrations that Emily does those. She made the beans, which is what we put on our shirts. I'm going to go get a shirt when I'm done talking. I like the beans. The beans are cute. I like the beans.
Look at
Anyways, so Emily probably does the second most art. She's not the official one just because I don't pay her and I feel bad enough about that. And then we will reach out to other folks. As for our music, Motion Array is a hell of a site. So I use I look around for royalty-free stuff. One of the most common ones I use is Motion Array, just because it's an easy hub, and I know for sure that I can use that music royalty-free, as opposed to if I purchase songs individually. It's also a subscription. If I can't find a song that I want, I will write it. So I have written a handful of songs on our Patreon. The main theme of Lowell was something that I had written by myself. I wrote Hopper Scotch's theme. I wrote both the sad piano version and the one that's just me whistling background.
I like that one better.
I have an upcoming song in a few episodes that is probably going to be the biggest original song I've done. And then the only other one is that our main theme song is Friends. It's by a guy named Miracle of Sound. He does music based on video games and then occasionally movies and TV shows. He's just got a very generous policy. Like, I even messaged him to make sure I could use it. And so I just really like his music, and I was like, but it's very easy for people to be like, I'm going to go with a royalty-free song, which usually works well for, like, our internal music. It's mostly what I use. But I really wanted our intro song to be a banger. So I was like, this is someone who makes bangers. Music. So that's where that comes from. I'm going to go get the shirt. We'll talk either about this question or another one.
Now I want to see the beans.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
We'll let the beans make it in, then I'll ask, the...
All right, now that Cal's gone, you guys could give us the real dirt on Quest Friends.
Oh no!
The real behind the scenes, like
behind the scenes.
What's it actually like? Is he a tyrant? Does he crack the whip?
It's under his thumb far too much to do that.
Close.
Yeah, guys, be quiet. Cal's back.
I think I heard him. I think I see him. Oh,
All of Emily's artwork.
I can hear it right now through the walls.
Whoa.
Move it a little further away from the camera. We couldn't see it.
Is he like?
Kyle, I don't think
He can't hear us.
phone. There we go.
What's going on?
See the
Show us again.
we couldn't really see it. It was too close.
People can see it.
Yeah, and say something when you hold it up.
Say a
Speak.
thing.
Speak. I don't know. It's hey, here are the beans.
Yeah, that's better.
There are a lot of the characters. So
No, I needed you to say something because what it does is it makes you come to your image big on my screen.
Oh, okay. I have everyone split up evenly. That's why. Hey, here are all
Oh yeah, that's perfect.
it's a lot of the important
Good job.
characters. I love them dearly. This one is my favorite. Well, this is one of my favorite beans. He's a terrible boy. Yeah, so Emily made this for a sale we did on our anniversary, which we are not repeating because I lost a lot of money on that. But we have been making more beans anyway because it's just nice to have a second. We don't have the money to commission Mandy for every single character, so it's fun to have
Free labor.
part of the show. But it's fun
Get
to
yourself
have.
some free labor.
I mean, I kind of know how that is because my husband is also an artist, and I'm every now and then I'm like, yo, if I ever decide to put something together, you're gonna do the art because I'm not paying for someone to do it. You're an amazing artist. You're just gonna do it, and that's it. Like,
It's just fun to have artwork of the characters that I can use whenever,
yes.
and that like we have of side characters and stuff like that. And so what Emily does is she draws them on paper, and then scans them in, and then I will, using Photoshop, I will digitally color them.
I've been
Flats.
working on the cookie crew beans.
I know dearly.
So, I mean, and all of that is awesome. You know, you guys have been great. So, you know, that being said, we're coming to that final question before we start, you know, trying to
The real questions.
essence and pull out your soul and all of that kind of stuff. So this question is very simple. What do we have to look forward to? You know, what's on the horizon? And what does the future hold for Quest Friends?
I'm gonna do my shilling first, but I feel like I've been talking a lot. So Hallie, we have 2 more episodes of the Cookie Crew coming out. The Cookie
We sure
Crew
do.
coming out.
Yes, I'm sorry. I've been calling it the Cookie Crew. This second part is called the Cookie 2, and that will be coming out Monday,
Not this Monday, the next Monday.
the next Monday.
I'm
And
bad
then
at
the
dates
next
myself.
2 Mondays after that. July and August is the Cookie Crew. This is gonna bug me if I don't just open my calendar. I have
The 29th is the next episode.
No, Tom, I was just about to say it. August.
And then the 12th of August
Yes!
for the last part.
Stealing all the thunder.
Those dates that Tom just said. They're coming out on those dates that Tom just said. And I'm really excited about it. And there'll be a third Cookie Crew next year.
The better question is, are you still going to be nervous for both episodes?
Oh, absolutely. There's no question of it. That's just my life.
Oh boy.
And then as for other stuff, big things besides the actual podcast itself, which I'm making more episodes of, I promise. We have a module, Cypher System module, released at Drive-Thru-RPG through the Cypher System Creator Program. It's called Welcome to Swagtacular Roulettia. It is a location module, I think it's like 20 pages long, that will basically walk you through the city of Roulettia, which is a black market that is Las Vegas and Disneyland, and lack of any sort of oversight and regulation all rolled into one. It's got the universe's deadliest roller coaster. It's got Frogatar racing, Frogatars being centaurs that have frog heads, bodies.
He did a Photoshop.
A horrific Photoshop. If you want it, I'll send it your way. It's got new enemies, so it's got characters from our series like Lorraine Stiles and Tommy Funbuck, and also original characters like the Gummy Gang, which is a gang of Sour Patch Kid people who really hate everybody. Or the Million Painted Faces, which is a clown car that when you open it, an endless wave of clowns pours out.
Yeah, obviously you need that. You need that in the clouds.
clowns are not original. They were in the actual show itself. So it's a lot of fun content. If you like the show, I think you're gonna like the module. If you want to run adventures in Roulettia, otherwise it's an enticing setting, I think, and I think it's worth trying out. And it's one of those things that if you like playing stories in there, then you might enjoy the podcast. In addition to that, in mid-September, we'll be kickstarting the project.
Oh, nice.
It's related to the podcast. It won't be technically connected to Numenera for just copyright reasons, but it is a project that we're doing. And we're doing it on Kickstarter in September. And if you follow us on social media, you'll start getting little hints about what it might be. But I can't say.
I mean, we'll definitely add the link to your Drive to RPG thing, and when you're ready to announce your Kickstarter stuff, we'll definitely the Cypher Unlimited Discord server. We have close to 2,300 members, and we'll definitely try to push it out as hard as we can and support you guys because you guys are awesome.
Are you guys on our Cypher Unlimited Discord?
Kyle is. That's how I met him.
Yeah, who else is?
I'm kind of the worst and don't use Discord that often, so I don't think I've actually joined Cypher Unlimited, although I feel like I've seen stuff related to it around.
Yeah,
It's all Anthony.
I'm the Kyle of the Cypher Unlimited. I do all the social media, Facebook, Twitter. I hit everything.
But yeah, any other big news for the future, or I saw you, Anthony. You were about to say something.
I was going to say that before I head into the real important questions.
Okay. Nothing else to mention? I mean, we could just hop on over to the important questions then.
All right, these are our rapid fire questions. I know we were talking for a while, and it was fine and dandy and all. That's good. Blah 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 blah. But this is deep. We really dig deep into your soul. Yeah. We pull out your essence. We spread the beans out on the table so everybody can see. These are our 9 rapid fire questions. I'll start it off.
Very important. And so Anthony's going to start us off, and we're just going to go down the line. So we'll start with Kyle and Emily, and just go down the line. Everybody just answer.
All right. You ready? Player or GM?
Game master, forever and always.
Player.
Game master.
Game master.
Player.
Oh, nice.
So pull punches or go for that TPK?
Pull physical punches, kill emotionally.
Agree?
Full punches. I'm a softie at heart.
The same. I don't know what any of those things mean. But
TPK, total party kill.
That means.
Oh no! The first, yeah.
You take it easy on him.
Full punches.
Let me modify my answer quickly. There are worse things than a TPK. That's my answer.
Yeah.
Good answer. Good answer.
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. And online or in-person gaming?
I prefer in-person, but I basically exclusively play online.
Same.
Same in person, but it's rare to get it.
Same.
Yeah. In person, but yeah.
All right, so to Cypher system, do you announce the difficulty number or do you keep it secret?
If they want to know it so badly, they can figure it out.
Secret too.
Secret, definitely.
Who would ever announce what it is? No, it's a secret.
I tend to play with a lot of new players. I teach them the Cypher system, so I'm always announcing the.
I can see for like a new player getting used to the mechanics and the rules, but otherwise, I take no pity.
Yeah, for seasoned players, definitely keep that a secret. But either way, salty or sweet snacks at the gaming table?
Salty. My doctor says I should avoid sweet.
Salty. Tears.
No snacks at the gaming table. I'm gonna have the nuclear hot take. And say,
No, it's the first time we've heard this actually. No snacks.
I don't like snacks at the game table.
You fasting there, Tom?
I can eat later. It's time for gaming when we're at the table.
Wow.
Oh.
That's part of the convention.
Nah.
So no literal snacks, but a lot of salty snacks for everybody else, specifically Hallie.
My answer to salty or sweet is yes.
Good answer. Good answer. Good answer.
So, do you guys prefer RP or combat?
Oh. Sorry, I feel really strongly about this.
It won't be a short answer for Ari, even though that's how she likes her combats.
Sorry, I feel really strongly about this.
Well, Ari, you go first then.
That's RP. Yeah. I don't like comments.
Tom?
I don't hate combats as much as everybody, but it's RP for me too.
Hallie?
I don't hate combat at all. I like a good combat, but if choosing a preference, RP.
The two should not be mutually exclusive, but if I like fuse them together, it'd be a combat that focuses more on RP, and so I'd still be bringing combat into the RP world.
Good answer. Good answer.
Emily?
I could not hear what you said if you said anything. Sorry, lips moved. Okay. Oh boy.
PDFs or physical books?
Physical books. I feel strongly about this one.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, you go first.
Oh man, I kept interrupting. Yeah, physical books all the way. I really like the smell of books. It's one of my favorite smells.
I agree with that statement.
Yes.
I like physical books, but the convenience of PDFs has really won me over, so I think I'll say PDFs.
Oh.
At least for role playing.
Emily, Kyle?
I'm gonna do that hot take. I'm gonna say both, but PDFs if I have to go. I prefer using a book, but if I'm playing with other people, I think it's significantly more important to have a PDF.
Oh yeah, agreed on that.
You need a PDF for your group, but then if you can get a book on top of it, cool.
And Cal is running for your local congressman. Please take my vote.
And Emily, do you have the same preference or?
Yeah, physical books.
Alright, well, the same camp. But so do you guys like pen and paper notes or digital?
Let me tell you about my Google Docs.
Don't let him tell you about his Google Docs.
Don't need to hear about
Hallie,
it.
many of
everyone except for Ari refused to use them. But who came crawling back?
So good.
Who came crawling back to my Google Doc characters?
I didn't know you had a character sheet Google Doc.
I made it for Ari. I said, Ari, do you want one? She said yes. And I said, hey, everyone, I made this for Ari. You can also use it.
So digital notes for Kyle.
Everybody else?
That was great. Emily, digital or paper?
I have this amazing
Google
giant
Docs.
hand-bound book with like leather cover.
I love physical too.
Which is awesome.
Kyle told you about his Google Docs. Can I tell you about heist boards? I have made heist boards. I made a heist board. I have a cork board. There's only one post-it note on it right now because the drawback to me writing physical notes is that I lose them or forget to put them on my heist board. But my project for this weekend is to put my notes on my heist board.
I was gonna say you've had that note since the second episode this arc.
Yeah, and it's just like It's nothing. It's not evidence at all. It's just hopefully this doesn't happen.
There's no evidence at all.
But I did have a full heist board for season 3, and it served us well.
That's awesome.
Tom?
I am very mixed. I feel like I probably don't have a strong preference one way or the other. I use whichever is convenient for what I'm playing. So if it's an online game, digital notes for sure. But if it's an in-person game, scrawling something in a notepad.
Nice.
I write adventures on bar napkins, so.
And Dean?
Oh,
Ari, I mean, yeah, sorry. I don't know why I said that.
Yeah, I'm like, I think that it's not my interview.
Brain fart.
Yeah, I also like digital the way I tend to lose stuff is their paper. Even when I GM, which was my first thing, I had printed character sheets for my players, and then I ended up just forgetting them at home. So I was like, I have them online too. Here you go, look at your computers, and it's also easier to have stuff hidden and be able to look at your notes in their digital than.
that
Nice.
works.
So last but not least, do you guys like original content or pre-written adventures?
Oh.
Now, is this for playing or running?
Both. I mean,
Both.
Well, however you, whatever strikes your fancy.
Let me tell you about the Quest Friends universe. I took this book right up till Navarine, closed it, and said, "Yep, that'll be good enough." I like having this to work off of, but homebrew and original adventures have been all I've ever run, and they are all I will ever run.
That's awesome, bro. That's.
Nice.
And is it all on your Google Docs?
You joke,
Oh my goodness.
but the answer is yes.
I used to have one per arc. Now I have one per session, but I have a spreadsheet of all the characters and their secrets and what they look like and what their level is, like everyone.
So, I forgot the question.
Written adventures or
Yeah. Original content. Yeah, that's what I like.
Nice.
See,
I'm
for
gonna go.
play. Oh no,
No,
go for it.
no.
Okay, all right.
Go.
For playing, I think original content all the way. I like a good published adventure, but I feel like some of the best times are when you're way off the beaten track with someone's own creation. But when I'm running stuff myself, I feel a little more comfortable with pre-made adventures. I like embellishing extensively on the top of those. I like to improvise a lot with the material that I'm given. But I like having that basic framework from which to jump off from.
So does Anthony.
yes.
I open the book and I go, "What's the title of this adventure?" Okay, let's go.
Haley? Or
I
Hallie?
have run 3 games, and all of them have been original. So I gotta go with original content. I make fun of Kyle's Google Docs, but I had 3 or 4 of them for my Titanic roleplay, which took me like a year to make. But it was worth it. I also like playing original content.
Nice. Ari?
So I think I differ. So for player, I think I've like both. I played campaigns that are both original content and pre-written campaigns, and I think it depends also majorly on the GM and like the way that like they go and run with the campaign. Like I really like the way Tom has run campaigns that are pre-written. So really, I think I like both. It depends on the GM. But for GM, so I have the one game that I started, and then I have another one that I'm planning to run in a couple of months. And for both, I started looking at pre-written campaigns, then changed like 99% of it, and basically ended up with an original thing. Like I ended up with like the really general setting, and then everything else was just completely different from it. So I would say original content, because it's not even like if you look back to like figure out which pre-written campaign it was, you probably wouldn't be able to tell.
That's the way you got to do it.
Yeah.
This guy
Sorry,
loves that.
As an outside observer, I can tell you that Ari's experience with creating adventures is to look at a pre-written module, scoop out its guts, and then just pour memes inside. Somewhere, guess this plot point's gotta go, and this one, and this one.
Yes.
That's the game.
But yeah.
Sometimes that's all it takes is a half an ounce of inspiration.
But yeah, you guys completed our rapid fire questions. You know, congratulations, you guys survived. And well, I heard a wait a second, but I'm just gonna keep talking while he does his thing, cause. But you know,
Kyle's gone. What's the scoop?
There he goes.
we're towards the end of our little talk here. It's been a nice little talk, almost 2 hours of talk, but it's been awesome. Like, you know,
Oh, you got to put his tie on.
oh.
Oh, I appreciate that. Put that
He's getting
tie
super
on.
fancy with it at the end here to close us out.
I've graduated past your test, so now I have to act like the professional man I am.
Oh yeah, he needs the tie
yeah.
for the and he's gonna be like, from Cypher Unlimited, I'm Kyle Decker. But anyways, it's been an awesome talk, guys. We know we got to hear a lot about Quest Friends, your creative processes, all the stuff that goes into what you guys do, and you know, it's really been enlightening, and you know. It's been awesome. Like, it's been a really fun talk. And like always, we'll be sure to add all the stuff we mentioned or you guys mentioned in our description down below. You know, including, you know, links to Quest Friends, link to your Twitter, to your own personal Twitters, to the Quest Friends Twitter, all that good stuff. You know, links,
Patreon.
artists.
RPG.
Yeah. The list goes on and on, but we'll get those links out there for our viewers to see. And is there any final thoughts, guys?
I mean, I just want to say, you know, when I went back and watched your guys' catalog, you guys are awesome. I truly enjoy the stuff you guys do. And any of our fans that listen to our show, they should definitely check your guys out. And I have a personal request to ask from the CU. I want you to incorporate 2 things into any episode if you can. Can you record a character named Ari, because Dean messed up Ari's name the first 5 seconds into the show? And you would record have Ari be some sort of interviewer in any sort of episode,
And mess up people's names.
Yeah.
That'll be Ari's shtick.
Oh boy.
Because you imagine when she meets Hopper, she's got an interview, and that's Hooper, right? Hooper Scoop? Hooper Scoop.
Hooper Scooch.
And I mean, I just want to go back to watch Quest Friends, watch them on YouTube, listen to their podcasts, stuff. They do so many different avenues of entertainment for you to reach out to. You should absolutely listen to it, and we'll promote you guys in any way we can.
And all I'm going to just add to that is thanks, and thanks. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate the time, and had a lot of fun with this interview.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure on all fronts, and hopefully we'll maybe have a crossover of our own later on, but that's for the future. Who knows? But from us, thank you all for watching. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. Be sure to hit that little bell notification so you get notified as to when we post our videos. And I think I hit all the topics. And, thank you all for watching.
Put that in the Google Docs, I told you.
But from us at the CU, we will see you later.